All right, guys, so welcome back to another episode of Expand with Omar and co-host JP, where we talk about if you're a new investor, if you're a seasoned one, if you're a real estate agent, if you're anything that you want to learn about real estate investing, this is the podcast for you. We're going to talk about how to buy creatively, how to increase sales, how to use that earned income to go buy some more rental properties, maybe flip a house, maybe even wholesale one. This is what we're going to be discussing. And, let's get into it. Today, we're going to be discussing some deal breakdowns, what's going on, and going over some questions that people have asked us on the previous podcast. So, without further ado, let's get started. JP, what do we got, man, and how you doing, and what's up?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this episode because, like you mentioned, we're going to go over a lot of our deals that we're currently working on that are in our pipeline, and we get to answer some of these questions that people have. I will start off with, this is from Jose. So shout out to Jose. How do you decide whether to keep it or flip it?
That's a good question. As you can see behind me, we got the sign, keep it or flip it. Back in the day, I think it was like 4 years ago, we started filming, and we started with episode 1. Keep it or flip it, episode 1. I think we got to like episode 10 or something like that, and then we stopped because we got busy. But still wanted to, figure this part out.
Was each episode a flip?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
In this
cool.
episode, we're going to talk about, are we keeping it or flipping it? Are we keeping it or flipping it? And it's really based upon where you're at in your real estate investing journey. Specifically, that if there is a spread, that means profit after repaired value. So let's just say, for instance, you're going to be selling a property for $300K, but you bought it for $200, and the ARV is $300. And then you put $40,000 into it, you're, out of pocket expense $240. So it only leaves you with about $60K, before you pay out for commissions. So that one there, you probably want to flip because you're only going to make $30,000 or $40,000. You can use that for your next, your next investment. But if you're starting out and you have lack of capital, flip the property. Create that capital increase so then you're able to go use that money for another property. Because ultimately, like in my sense, I like to keep more property because I know compounding over, course of 10 years, 15 years, it's going to pay you way more money.
And it's like what we talked about a lot is just hedging against inflation.
True.
Property.
But the thing is, this is the other thing I want to discuss, is that your capital, and this is going to get deep, if you hold a property, let's say, for instance, you have $400,000 of equity in one of the properties that you held, right? And I'm in the same boat right now. Got a fourplex that I owe nothing on, and it's probably worth about $600K. What can those $600,000 do somewhere else? Can that $600K go get me 10 units? Probably. Can it increase my cash flow? Yes. So it's definitely case-by-case basis, but whether you're keeping it or flipping it, keep it because you probably have flipped a few properties already and your earned income is higher. And if you want to depreciate that asset so you can lower your taxable income and then you can lower the amount of money you pay to the IRS, keep the property.
But for someone that wants to build capital, of course, flip them until you can keep them.
100%. Yes. And remember, guys, if you're flipping for $200,000, flip the house for $200K because that's a lot of money. I mean, if you were to ask me, flip it or keep it at $200,000, I might be flipping it, or better yet, I might refinance, pull out that money that's a non-taxable event, then use that money to go buy another property, and then hopefully the tenant, when you rent it out, covers the payment at least. So now you have a free house.
Yeah. So it's always, like you said, a case-by-case scenario that kind of depends on how much your money is being utilized in that scenario. Because if it's utilized somewhere else, you want to park your money there.
Yeah, 100%.
Eventually. Yeah. All right, we'll go on to the next question. This one's a little vague, but I think people want to know this. Okay. Does your brokerage offer leads?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, the brokerage itself does not. But if you're part of the team, our Expand Real Estate Group team, then yes. But you have to, go through some quality control. You got to learn what to say, how to say it. You have to pass some scripts. You have to have a conversation with myself, with you, to see if you're able to even have a conversation with a seller and know where to take them and even a buyer were to take them and asking the right questions. So to answer your question, yeah.
Sweet. Okay. And of course, you're going to get leads if you can close.
Correct. That's it.
The truth is, no one's going to get leads if they're not good on the phone, because reality is leads do cost money.
They do.
And no one wants to burn leads.
Yeah.
We'll go into the next question. This is from someone that I believe is a part of 5. Please explain the seller financing option you go over a lot.
Oh, yeah.
In the calls.
Seller financing. That is literally just when, let's say JP is the seller and he owes nothing on the property. I go to buy the property from him. I say, hey, listen, I'm going to pay you $300K, but I'm going to only come in with 10% down. So I'm going to pay JP $30,000 down. JP is going to hold the note for $270,000, meaning that JP now is the bank. So owner financing, JP is the owner. JP now has owner financed the property. That means he's technically only receiving $30,000, but he's receiving payments on the $270,000 that he is the bank on. His collateral is the property that I'm buying. I own the house. He owns the debt, or I owe the debt, but he's the one that's carrying it. He is now called the beneficiary. And I'm making a payment to JP at X, whatever agreement, whatever percentage rate that we agree to. If it's 5, 6, 7%, obviously I would say, hey, I'll do it for 4%, because now a 4% loan, non-qualifying, is awesome. Yeah. Because you can't do that out there right now. So,
and depending on how the deal is presented, you can even get 0% interest on seller finance a lot of the time.
You can. Depends. Guys, it depends always on the situation of the seller. Period. End of story. In this case, he doesn't need to charge 0. Like, it's okay if you tell people, hey, I'll give you 3%, I'll give you 4%, because guess what? You can't even get that now on a regular traditional financing. So don't get greedy. Still, pay that interest. It's fine. He's doing you a favor, in essence, and it only cost me $30,000 to buy that house for $300K. And this is how I have a few of my properties that I own in my portfolio that are owner financing with literally 5% down.
Yeah.
No money down, and they carry the note, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So free houses.
Also, to touch on it, and we'll move on to the next question, there's a difference between seller finance and subject to.
There is. And the question was seller finance, but subject to something totally different.
Correct.
And that's where you just take over somebody else's loan. Loan stays in JP's name. He owes the Bank of America, $270,000. We're going to use that same example. And I'm still only giving JP $30,000. Okay, that's the down payment. Except he's not holding the note. Bank of America still owns is still the beneficiary for $270,000. The loan stays in JP's name. I make the payments. That's subject to. Simple.
Sweet. I think this question is directed towards you. Who did you learn from about creative financing?
Well, that's a good question. You know what it was? I've been doing creative financing subject to before I knew about it being mainstream. And this was back, I think, was it 9 years ago? That first sub 2 deal that I did. And
how did you go about doing that? Did you know you can do that? Did someone tell you that you can do that?
Honestly, I just tried.
Whoa.
And I did not know, because I was like, you know what? There has to be a way that this is still a cash transaction. We still went through an escrow process. And this was 9 years ago. We still own it today. And that deal was a listing. And I just told the seller, hey, do you mind if literally I said, do you mind if the loan stays in your name and I'll buy the property and then I'll give you the money on top of what?
How Your Home Sold or We'll Buy It was born?
No, that's something different. Something totally different. But to answer that question, I had to have learned it somewhere. Yeah. I don't remember. It wasn't a specific person. It wasn't a specific course. But I knew that it wasn't called sub 2. It was just called, subject to the existing mortgage. That's how long it was. It wasn't sub 2. It was subject to the existing mortgage. And me like I had to saw it. I saw it somewhere, and I just said, screw it. I
I'm
always
try
shoot and figure it out. Just
Wow.
like our podcast, we shoot and figure it out.
Yeah. No, for sure. So, and then of course that was 9 years ago, and
Yeah.
then since then you've just been implementing it and continue to improve on it, right?
Yes. I
All
own
right.
a lot of property sub too. Yeah.
Is it possible to get your first rental property using OPM, which is other people's money? For those that don't know?
100%. My first investment with relationships that we build, that person, that private lender, other people's money, OPM, lent me, I think, $35K.
Oh wow.
And I used the other money that I had to fix the property up. So in essence, I was in that property $55K after I fixed it because I bought it really cheap. But yeah, you can definitely use other people's money for buying rentals.
Yeah. I think it's always about when you are using other people's money, it's like bring them a deal that they can't refuse,
True.
you know?
And this is where you want to give interest. That we were talking about it earlier, like 0% interest. Like that's not really. It happens, but why not just give them 3 or 4%? I mean, it's
Yeah.
really not that bad. 3% loan. I mean, right now, if you have a loan for 3%, which I have a few of them from last year before, that we got, and we still own them, I don't want to sell them because the principal pay down on that 3% loan is retarded.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is primarily all principal.
Yeah.
So
Because 3% is
it's
just
nothing.
non-existent anymore.
I don't even think we'll ever see it again.
No.
And if
I don't
we
think
do,
will.
it's because of owner financing.
There you go. How do I know what is the best real estate investment strategy for me?
That's a big question because I don't know what you are at. I don't know how much money you got. I don't know if you're starting out. I don't know if you have 5 or 6 units. I don't know what I don't know about your situation.
So with that being said, let's put a scenario in place.
Okay.
How do I know what is the best real estate investment strategy for me? For someone that has, let's just say 30 to 40K in the bank.
Okay.
No properties in their own name at all. So
Okay.
this will be their first property. They have 30 to 40K. They're an agent that does anywhere from 15 to 20 deals a year, and they want to get that first rental.
Okay. So they probably make about 150, 160,000, maybe 170,000 a year on commissions, and they have another $30,000 or $40,000 saved. And my opinion on what they should do first, if they have not bought a home for themselves, maybe they're living at home with mom and dad, which is fine. The first thing is I would want to get a duplex. And if you end up getting a duplex, you can end up renting one of the units out, and then you can end up living there. And in essence, your $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 that you have, you use that as a down payment. I would probably get it conventional just to get that 5% loan, because if you go hard money, you're going to be at 8.5%, 9% on the payment, and that's hefty. You won't cash flow as much, but I would say get qualified. Use the 30, 40K for a traditional conventional loan, or even FHA, which is 3.5% down on a 2-unit. Say you spend $300,000 on a 2-unit, $150,000 a door at a 5% interest rate. Your down payment on 3.5%, what is that? 369. That's like $12,000, $13,000 plus another $10,000 for closing costs. So now you're at $23,000 out of that $30,000 that you have saved. But you just bought a duplex that you're able to rent out one of the units that might most likely cover all of that payment. And if not, you might only live for $500.
Yeah.
So that would be my number one thing.
And for those that I guess you could say don't have the funds, would you recommend them to take the route of going seller finance or subject to for that first property? Or do you think that's something that should be for someone else that's a little bit more well-versed in their investments?
If you're in the very beginning stages of your investing career, unless you have a coach that is that's going to help you like transition and to speak and to know the lingo, then I would say, do that instead. But you got to get coached.
Someone like me can go get a subject to seller finance because I have someone like you to mentor and coach me through it.
Correct.
Okay. That
Correct.
makes
And
sense.
if you don't try it by yourself. Because that's where things might
Make
happen.
an assignment fee on it. Don't be greedy.
There it is.
Yeah.
And we'll buy it.
There you go. This is the last question, super vague, but we'll answer it. What's the best dialer you recommend for cold calling? What do we use for our team?
Mojo.
Mojo. Hop on
MojoSells.com.
Sweet. But those were the questions that people had. I think we can dive into a little bit about the deals that we're currently doing within 60-minute cash offer. We just got a deal locked up last week in Hellendale.
Yep.
For a purchase price around 55% of ARV.
Which is great. Yeah.
And another one on Tuesday, which was in Oak Hills at less than 60% of ARV. So
yeah,
let's talk about those deals and what your thoughts are with them, what your plans are, because it's another keep it or flip it scenario.
For sure. Well, immediately the one in Hellendale, that's not going to be a keep because there is HOA there. So what HOA does, it eats into your cash flow. We're buying it cheap enough that we could technically cash flow in that property, put minimal stuff in it, and keep it, long term. Just don't really want that specific area. I'd rather utilize the capital, the profit that we're going to make. It could be anywhere from 50 to 55,000 on the profit end. After payouts and stuff, we're making 40, which is great. So on that one, definitely going to flip it. The cost of entry is minimal. The big one, in Oak Hills, that one there for sure is going to get flipped because, it's a big property. Somebody wants that 2.5 acre parcel with a 3,300 square foot home, 1 story. 4 bedroom, 3 bath, just beautiful house. A 4-car garage attached, which is cool. 2 cars, which is awesome. When that one comes out, that's gonna be dope. That one's gonna be a flip as well because now what we're doing is we're taking 2 properties, increasing the profit to the company by 110, 120K. I'm just being, the numbers are there. I'm not sure what it's gonna end up after it sells. Because this is just the acquiring process.
Omar likes to be conservative, but I think we're definitely at 150K in revenue for both deals. But
yeah, conservative.
He likes to be conservative.
Because we don't know what the market's going to do.
Correct.
We don't know how long of a holding cost there's going to be because those are big payments. Well, one of them is a big payment. The other one is minimal. But still, 2 properties. Just as an example, if we're going to be at $2,900 a month for 1 property, plus another $1,500, that's $4,500 a month.
That's just this past week on 2 deals that we're doing.
$4,500 a month just in the payment, right? Because we're getting hard money financing. $4,500. Let's call it 4 months to get rid of both properties. That's a lot of money. That's $18,000 in interest that was paid in 4 months for 2 properties. $18K. So this is why I like to be conservative, is because if our number is 50 and 50, that's a great deal. We made $100,000 on 2 transactions, all right, and then we're going to do it again, and we have more in the pipeline and everything else. So those are the 2 deals that we have locked now, that are in escrow, that we are purchasing as flips. We're not talking about the wholesale deals that we're acquiring and we're selling to other investors for a quick profit, or the deals that we get to list people's houses, because when you have relationships and when you have conversations with people, you can find out what their when, where, and why is, and we can go from there.
It's all about
awesome.
Conversations. I'll tell you what happened yesterday. I had a lead that I needed to call. I won't say the name for privacy reasons.
Yeah.
But I think on my Podio, it showed that I had tried reaching out to this person about 4 times.
Right.
And each time I reached out to that person, they would answer. We'd talk for about 10 seconds, and they would hang up on me. Hey, I'm too busy. I can't talk right now. Call me back at a better time. And yesterday, I look at the lead, and I'm like, man, fuck. Like I don't
got to call again.
I don't want to call this person. But I was like, you know what? Yesterday I came to the office early. I was like one of the only ones in here, so I was like tunnel vision. I made the call. It was like an 18-minute phone conversation. At the end of the phone conversation, I sent her a listing agreement that she signed.
Beautiful.
Without having, for me, seeing the house.
Yeah.
Obviously, I did a proper analysis on it to be able to price it correctly. But make the fucking calls, man. It's very, very simple. So that was a huge lesson for me yesterday, because I was talking myself out of making that call.
Uh-huh.
But,
And check this. It's so easy not to make the calls, guys, because we're in the real estate business sales, right? We are in sales. We need to call sellers to get in front of them. We have to call buyers to get in front of them to go make some offers. And they're not just going to call you. And if they do, it's great. You established a referral system and everything else where people are going to come to you, which is great. But at the same time, what you want to do is you want to have that outgoing call to make sure that, hey, and this is a follow-up.
Yeah, just
7-8 times.
Mm-hmm. It was like the sixth call that I made.
The sixth call, and she signed a listing contract without us ever seeing the home. That's how much a rapport we built with her. But think about this. If you don't make the call, somebody else gets the deal. Somebody else makes the $10,000, $12,000.
Someone else helps that person, gets that 5-star review. And, there's so much. It's not just about the commission. There's so much more that comes with it when you lose a transaction, because it's all that relationship can continue to feed you.
To feed you, it'll keep after the results happened. They end up becoming an investment later, because guess what? Like, you did a great job for them. You helped them start their next chapter, and they're gonna remember you. It's not just about buying the house. It's not just about listing it. It's about providing as many solutions as possible for that seller, for that owner, for that person that inherited that property, for the person that's going through their bullshit divorce or whatever the case. Because every time that happens, everyone's pissed off, and or if there's life happens, somebody passes away. You guys can fill in the blanks. We've been doing this a while. I've been doing this a long time, so I've heard of everything. JP, you're getting there because you're newer, but that's still because he's around the proximity of people. He's learning this a lot quicker. This is why he has better conversations with some of these sellers, and obviously that result there, you got a listing signed without seeing a house.
Yeah, once you get in the mindset that, hey, you put me in front of a seller, I'm gonna do anything possible to be able to help them.
Yep.
Once you have those conversations on the phone with them, they're like, white on rice. They flow
that's it.
Super easy. Let's go into some another deals that you have currently pending that have probably caused you some headaches. We have a flip that we closed on. You, of course, renovated, put on the market, fell out of escrow a couple of times,
Twice,
even got broken into.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that property a little bit, because so many people want to flip houses, list them on the market, but they don't realize that people can break into those houses. Those houses can fall out of escrow, more holding costs, profits cut into. I think someone requested a whole new driveway.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that.
Property that we have, great property. We had it staged, beautiful home. Driveway was kind of like, not even that big of a deal, though. Like, this is the first time ever in my 20 years that someone was asking me to replace the driveway. It's like, wow, I thought I heard it all, and then I see that come through, and it's like I call up the agent. I'm like, you're asking me to replace a driveway. Like,
that's nuts.
Like, do you know what you just wrote for your client? Well, yeah, but he wanted to write that. I'm like, you can advise him to not, because that's probably the first time you've ever written a request to replace a driveway. It's absolutely insane, but goes to show you that some agents don't really care. They'll just do whatever.
Advise their clients.
Yeah. But still, nothing against the agent. Just go back to school a little bit. But still, at the same time, that property fell out of escrow twice. Now it's back in escrow, and then it got broken into. Locks were cut. As a matter of fact, my stager called me today, and she's like, what happened to my bed? So the person who broke into the property, after they took a shower in our vacant house with the towels that are sitting there that are being staged, they took a shower, they got clean, then they decided to take the bed and frame and pillows and the throw pillows, and I don't know where they're at. She texted me this morning and said, hey, I'm here destaging the property. Where's my bed? So I tell her, just let me know how much it was so I can pay you, because somebody stole her fucking bed.
Wow.
Fucking crazy. And guys, this is the third month. So I have a payment on that property for $2,200. That's $6,600 for 3 months of holding costs.
That was a deal that we had pegged at over 6 figures in profit.
Yeah, it was
Alone.
pegged that way before the interest rate hike.
Yeah.
And we were quick with the rehab, but when
We
you
got
buy
caught.
them a little bit deeper, it kind of has a cushion for the market to do its thing.
Which
And
thankfully we
got,
did.
yeah, seriously. We went from 100,000 plus in profit to maybe making 40, 45K.
Wow.
So half. So and imagine if you pegged it at $50,000 that you're making, that you bought it too high, you'd be negative right now. Think about that. How many people are like, oh yeah, this is a $50,000 flip? Nope, sorry, it is a $0,000 flip.
With that being said, if you're making offers to sellers, that you should be a little anxious to make that first offer because you think you're going to piss the seller off.
Right.
That's what your number should look like,
Yeah.
essentially. Because, like you said, it's not what's something that you always say, it's not timing in the market, it's time in the market.
Yeah, it's not timing the market correctly. It helps, guys. But when you're buying a hold, it's time in the market.
Yeah.
Always supersedes timing the market.
Yeah, and the less that time is and the deeper your margins are,
Yep.
bigger your profits.
100%. So yeah,
Sweet.
that's what's going on. I know this was a different approach to this to our episode because we want to go over some deal breakdowns. We wanted to go over some questions that were asked as well. So guys, all this stuff helps you. Message us. Ask some questions here on YouTube as well. There's a bunch of links that are going to be posted as well. If you guys want to learn to, to start investing in properties and stuff, you guys, click that link.
DM you what?
DM me the word Blitz on IG, and that's at Invest with Omar. There's a 90-day real estate blitz to help you get your first real estate investment or opportunity to create some good amount of interest on your money. So, guys, thanks for joining, and make sure you plug into our next episode.
Sweet. And for those of you that want to join the team and just want to be in our proximity, reach out to me, and we could talk a little bit more about the internship program.
Let's go.
Sweet. See you guys on the
Later,
next one.
guys.